Welcome to IMO. I'm Gina Beavers. I'm here with Alicia Cosby and Mildred, aka Millie Vanilli Montalvo. We're here this morning with Freda Brown. She is a divorce financial analyst and she owns Divorce Financial Services in Southwick, which is very timely because divorce is still about 50%.
That's correct.
Right now. So tell us, there's some really big law changes, but first tell us about your business.
What I do is I work with individuals or couples going through the divorce and their financial issues and trying to find out if it's a good settlement, a bad settlement, will it last the test of time. So often you're looking in the courts just at what's on the docket, what's today, what does today look like. I look at what's 15 years going to look like. And my goal is that both parties leave the marriage financially healthy.
And is that easy to do?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. But it's easier now, I would suspect, because there have been some changes in the law that were just enacted in March.
There are new changes in the alimony law. In the past, the alimony there's been several formulas out there that people calculated for alimony, and then when they went to the courts, the judge would decide, well, this is it or this is that. There was no real guidelines, and so the new law has some very strict guidelines as to what's happening with alimony these days.
What are some of the more important ones? There are a lot. Actually.
There are a lot.
There's
probably like 10 different changes in alimony law, so everything's changed. Number one is term limits. So depending on the length of the marriage, the length of time of alimony. Mm-hmm. So if you've been married less than 5 years, then it's up to 50% of the number of months that you were married that you could get alimony. If you were married less than 10 years but more than 5, it's 60%. If it's 15 but less than 15, more than 10, it's 70%. Under 20 years, 80%. Okay. And if it's more than 80%, it's could be indefinite, except that it stops at retirement.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
And retirement age is defined as what retirement age is. This, for Social Security, not the early retirement, not the late one, but the one in the middle that says your regular retirement age, which right now is 66. 66. If you're my age. Your age, you might be
32, of course, right? So what else? We were talking earlier about cohabitation. It used to be, I think, because everything's more regulated now, of course, cohabitation. If you were living with someone else.
Okay, after the marriage.
Right.
After the marriage, you move in with someone else. That could be a reason for termination or reduction of alimony. Okay. And there has to be proved by the payer spouse that these are happening, and it's more than 3 months. So if you've lived with someone more than 3 months, you could jeopardize your alimony.
Because they figure what the other person is contributing financially to the household.
Right. And there are a list of things that are factors that can be determined as to the alimony, like sharing a residence, representing yourself in public as a couple. Those are things that would be attributable to losing your alimony.
That's really interesting. So I suspect that if you have an alimony agreement now, that you wouldn't be under this new umbrella, or
well, that is one of the caveats of this new law. The depending on the length of marriage, you can have your alimony modified based on these laws. So if you already are divorced, have an alimony that's for a lifetime, and you are cohabitating with someone else, your spouse can go for a reduction of alimony based on the new laws. And however, they can't do it immediately, depending on the length. If they were only married 5 years, and they have until March 1st, 2013 is when they can start the procedures. Mm-hmm. If they were married 10 years or less, it's 2014, and 10 years or less, 2015. So those are all. So they can't do it right away. Right. So there's a little time so that you can prepare. For. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is the retirement ending at your Social Security retirement age. that could start as soon as March 1st if you're already past retirement age right now.
Oh, okay. People need to get ready.
Right? So they need to get ready. Those are some really, really interesting things. Another interesting thing about the cohabitation, what if you cohabitated with your spouse prior to marriage? In the past, that was not counted at all. The judge could make that length of marriage longer because of the previous cohabitation. So
would that be like common law marriage, or?
Well, just you lived together for 5 years, and then you decided to get married, but during that time you were sharing the household, you're sharing expenses. That could count towards the 20 years or the 10 years or whatever, as opposed to not counting at all.
Kind of like time well served, or time
well served.
It didn't work out anyway, so you might as well. That's really interesting. That's really interesting.
And I think there was one more thing that was really kind of interesting. Oh, the amount of alimony. The amount of alimony. That's good. Very important.
Yes.
Very important. It cannot exceed the difference between the payer and the receiver spouses. So the difference, more than 30 to 35%. So it's not unlimited alimony. It's not going to be 50%. You're not going to get 50% of what they earn. You're going to get the difference between what you earn and they earn, and 30% of that. So as an example, say the husband earns $250,000 and the wife earns $70,000. Difference between that is $180,000. Multiply that by 30%. Her alimony is $54,000.
Sweet.
So in the end, he has 196,000. She has 124,000. So it's not going to be equal,
right?
Because he's got the greater income.
Gotcha.
Or take a lower income. Say she makes 100,000, and he makes 25,000. Sometimes that happens. So the difference is 75,000. 30% of that is 22,500. So he would, or she would end up with 77,500. He would end up with 47,500. So it's kind of giving you some, but not all of it. And it's also based on need. So they're not going to give someone more than they actually need. That could be a qualifier in there as well.
Gotcha. So that's a lot of mathematics. So I guess I should tell people that she is also a master tax advisor because that would boggle my mind. So I would have to depend on you, although I'm not married. But because you are so awesome, you are actually the WBOA Businesswoman of the Year. And and you're going to be celebrated at Chez Joseph on June 21st. That's very exciting.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. It's quite an honor.
Yeah, so you can get tickets online at WBOA, or you can call Carlene Fisher Kaufman, whose number will be at the bottom of the screen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
We really appreciate you being here, Freda. And we'll be right back.